What kind of person runs a marathon at 93 years old? Now, what if I told you she had cancer and open wounds on her legs while doing it? This isn't fiction. It's the story of a woman who didn't just cheat death. She outran it. Welcome to Seniors That Refuse to Die, Part 2. Today, we're telling the story of Harriet Thompson, a woman who turned every excuse into fuel and every setback into a reason to keep going. A classically trained pianist, a cancer survivor, a 93-year-old marathoner who crossed the finish line bleeding, exhausted, but victorious. This is not just a story about aging, it's a story about living. And if you think your best days are behind you, stay tuned, because Harriet's story proves they might still be ahead. Who was Harriet Thompson? Harriet Thompson wasn't a born runner. She wasn't chasing Olympic dreams as a kid. She didn't grow up on tracks or in gyms. Born in 1923 in Charlotte, North Carolina, she grew up in an America still reeling from World War I and teetering on the brink of the Great Depression. What she did grow up with was discipline. As a gifted pianist, she studied music with intense focus, eventually earning a scholarship to Syracuse University. She married, raised 5 children, and built a life around family and service. And yet, somewhere in her 70s, she felt like there was still something left in her tank. At age 76, Harriet ran her first marathon. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a bucket list item. It was the beginning of a second act most people wouldn't believe. Over the next 2 decades, she ran more than 15 marathons, not just for fun, but for purpose, raising money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Year after year, she laced up not just to race, but to help others fight a disease that had taken her own loved ones. When people asked why she started so late, she'd just smile and say, "I wanted to see if I could do it." Turns out she could, and then some. In her late 80s, Harriet got devastating news: squamous cell carcinoma. It's a brutal form of skin cancer that can eat away at the flesh and leave painful raw wounds. Doctors urged her to rest, to stop running, to take it easy, but taking it easy was never her thing. She kept training, sometimes walking, sometimes shuffling, sometimes running. Her legs were wrapped in gauze, but her spirit, unwrapped, untouched, unshaken. Her family begged her to consider skipping the next marathon, but Harriet had a different view. If I can stand up and move, I can keep going. So she did. In 2015, at the age of 93, Harriet returned to the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon, with cancer, with pain, with open wounds on her legs. Not to make a statement, not for the cameras. She did it because she could. San Diego, June. The sun was high, the heat rising, and the course stretched out like a challenge whispered by fate. Harriet wore her signature white gloves, a floral headband, and a quiet, confident smile. She didn't need to prove anything. She was already a legend. But she wasn't there to show off. She was there to finish. The gun went off. Runners surged ahead. Harriet. She walked calmly, paced evenly. Each step was deliberate, measured, painful. Her bandages shifted. Blood began to seep through. Blisters formed under the gauze. Around mile 10, people started to notice. Some runners slowed down, jogged alongside her, and offered encouragement. "She was clearly hurting," one witness said, "but she looked you in the eye and smiled, like she wanted to be there, like this was her joy." Around mile 15, it got harder. She had to stop more often. Her skin burned in the sun, and her wounds throbbed. But she never said, "I can't." She kept moving, one foot in front of the other, whispering prayers, humming tunes from her piano days. By mile 20, she was leaning heavily on her son, who walked part of the way with her. At 7 hours, 24 minutes, and 36 seconds, Harriet crossed the finish line. She didn't collapse. She didn't cry. She just smiled. And with that, she became the oldest woman ever to finish a marathon. What makes someone like Harriet? Doctors will tell you it's rare, But it's not magic. It's mindset. Harriet had 5 key traits that experts say define exceptional aging. 1. Purpose. She wasn't just running for fun. She raised over $100,000 for cancer research. Every mile had meaning. 2. Resilience. She didn't hide her illness. She ran with it. She walked through the fire and smiled anyway. 3. Faith. Her belief in God gave her peace. She often said her prayers gave her strength when her legs didn't. 4. Movement. She trained daily, even if it was just walking to the mailbox or stretching. She never let her body go stiff. 5. Connection. Her family was deeply involved. Her son ran beside her. Her community cheered her on. She never felt alone. The real secret to longevity. It's not some superfood or miracle drug. It's having something, or someone, you'd go through hell for. You carry your wounds, but you don't have to be your wounds. That was Harriet's message. She didn't ignore her pain. She just refused to let it write her story. Every time she ran, she did it as a woman who had buried friends and fought cancer, who had aches in her joints and bandages on her legs. But when people looked at her, she didn't want them to see weakness. She wanted them to see what strength looks like. She redefined beauty, grace, grit. She redefined what 93 could look like. Let's get real. Life is hard. Aging can feel like a slow fade. The knees go, the energy dips. People leave. Illness shows up uninvited. And it's easy, so easy to give in, to stop trying, to decide you're done. But Harriet, she made a different choice. And maybe you can too. Maybe your best days aren't over. Maybe they're just delayed. Maybe that book you want to write, that trip you want to take, that conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe now is the time, not when it's easy, but when it matters most. Harriet didn't run to prove she was young. She ran to prove she was alive. So what are you doing with your time? What's stopping you? If Harriet inspired you, drop a fire emoji in the comments and tell us, what's something you kept going through even when it hurt? You never know who you might inspire. This is Seniors That Refuse to Die, Part 2. If this story gave you chills, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one. And most importantly, share this with someone who's struggling. Remind them, strength doesn't retire, courage doesn't age, and it's never too late to fight. Harriet Thompson passed away in 2017, but let's be clear, she didn't just die. She finished her race. She left behind a legacy that still runs, still breathes, still moves people to tears. She proved that aging isn't the end of the story. It's a new chapter, and if she could do what she did, wounded, exhausted, 93 years old, what's stopping you? Thank you for watching. Stay strong, stay inspired, and remember, it's never too late to outrun death. Watch Part 1, The 84-Year-Old Who Refused to Die. Check out our More Stories Like This playlist, https youtube.be p50tmafuokwtna list plvqg yawuohpks diog j9 u37ijfxvsh and send this to a senior who needs hope today. Quiz. What's still possible for you? Instructions. This is not a test. There are no wrong answers. This is a chance to pause, reflect, and reconnect with the part of you that knows it's not over. Be honest. Be open. You might just surprise yourself. 1. Have you ever surprised yourself by doing something you thought was too late for your age? Yes. And it changed my perspective. Not yet, but I've thought about it. No. I've given up trying new things. 2. What's one dream or goal you've buried over the years, but still quietly think about? Short answer. 3. Which of Harriet's 5 traits do you feel strongest in right now? Purpose, resilience. Faith, movement, connection. 4. When was the last time you did something challenging, physically, emotionally, or spiritually? This week? Within the last year? It's been a while. 5. What's stopping you from starting again? Health concerns, fear of failure, feeling alone, not sure what to do, nothing. I'm ready. 6. If you had one more race to run, what would it be? Short answer. Example: write a book, walk without a cane, forgive someone, start a business, learn piano. 7. How often do you move your body intentionally, even just a little? Daily. A few times a week, rarely not at all, but I want to start 8. Who in your life cheers you on, no matter what? Family, friends, faith community. No one yet, but I'm open to finding that support. 9. Do you believe your best years could still be ahead of you? Absolutely, maybe, but I'm not sure. No, I think they've passed. 10. Harriet didn't run to prove she was young. She ran to prove she was alive. So, what will you do to prove you're still alive? Short answer. Even a small action counts. Make a phone call, go for a walk, start writing, reconnect with someone, join a community, eat better, pray more. Wrap up message. You made it through the quiz. That means you're not done yet. You're still here, and there's still a chapter to write. Harriet didn't let pain stop her. She didn't let age define her, and neither should you. If this quiz stirred something in you, drop a comment and share your answer to question 10. Subscribe now so you don't miss part 3. Meet the Japanese centenarian that set the record just one day after his 105th birthday. Tag a friend or family member who needs this reminder. You're still in the race. You carry your wounds, but you don't have to be your wounds. Harriet Thompson.